Not all rebellions are loud. Not all revolutions involve shouting, marching, or breaking rules in public. Some rebellions are subtle, invisible, carried out in silence, through choices no one notices, until the impact becomes undeniable. This is the rebellion of the Sigma INFJ. They don't fight tradition head-on. They don't try to convert the masses. They don't waste energy proving the system is flawed. Instead, they quietly live outside of it, choosing authenticity where conformity is expected. Choosing solitude where crowds demand allegiance. Choosing truth where illusions reign. This is their quiet rebellion against the norm. Part 1. They reject herd mentality without announcement. The Sigma INFJ doesn't need to stand on a stage and declare, "I'm different." Their difference is woven into how they live. They don't follow trends. They don't repeat what everyone else is saying. They don't adopt beliefs just because they're popular. They notice when people are clapping for ideas that are shallow, when groups are aligning out of fear, not truth, and instead of joining, they step aside. They don't need to argue with the herd. They simply walk their own path and let the silence of their absence say everything. Part 2. Their defiance is internal first. Most people rebel externally through behavior. Sigma INFJs begin internally through thought. They question everything, every assumption, every "that's just how it is," every "we've always done it this way." They strip beliefs down to their roots, and if the roots don't align with truth, they reject them. This inner defiance doesn't look dramatic, but it's powerful, because once they've rejected something internally, no amount of external pressure can make them conform. Their rebellion is invisible first, but unshakable once it takes hold. Part 3. They don't compete where others do. The world runs on competition, status, wealth, visibility, power. But Sigma INFJs quietly opt out. They don't want to be the loudest in the room. They don't need to be the most followed, the most admired, the most decorated. Their rebellion is in their refusal to measure life by those metrics. They succeed by their own definitions. Peace over popularity, alignment over applause, truth over trophies. And in doing so, they reject one of the biggest norms of all, that worth must always be proven. Part 4. They choose solitude over forced belonging. Society prizes groups, clubs, teams, communities, movements. But the Sigma INFJ's rebellion is in saying, "I don't need to belong everywhere." They choose solitude over surface-level inclusion, depth over numbers, clarity over comfort. They know that forced belonging dilutes authenticity, that silence and solitude is better than noise in a crowd, that walking alone feels more aligned than walking with people who don't see you. So they choose solitude, not as weakness, but as a radical act of loyalty to self. Part 5. They withhold explanation as resistance. The world demands explanation. Why don't you want this? Why don't you believe that? Why won't you stay? But Sigma INFJs know that explanations often become negotiations, that once you justify a boundary, someone will try to push past it. So their rebellion is silence. Their rebellion is the calm, unapologetic no. Their rebellion is choosing peace over proof. And nothing frustrates a system more than someone who simply won't explain why they won't play the game. Part 6. They preserve their energy instead of wasting it on chaos. Most rebellions are fueled by noise, anger, chaos. But Sigma INFJs understand that chaos drains clarity, so they preserve their energy. They don't argue with people committed to misunderstanding them. They don't debate in circles. They don't waste breath where silence will suffice. Their rebellion is conservation. Their refusal to leak energy into battles that don't matter. Their ability to keep their power sharp by not scattering it everywhere. Part 7. They find freedom in refusing labels. Society thrives on categories: introvert, extrovert, professional, creative, successful, failure. But Sigma INFJs quietly reject labels, even the ones that feel flattering, because they know that labels always come with expectations, and expectations are just invisible cages. They'd rather be misunderstood than miscategorized, rather be untitled than typecast, rather be free than accurately but incompletely defined. Their rebellion is refusing to be boxed in and choosing instead to live fluidly, authentically, beyond definition. Part 8. They build inner lives too rich to be controlled. What makes the Sigma INFJ ungovernable isn't their defiance on the outside, it's their depth on the inside. While others chase external validation, they build inner worlds that no one else can touch. Libraries of reflection, archives of meaning, blueprints of patterns and philosophies unique to them. This inner richness means they don't need constant distraction. They don't need shallow belonging. They don't need to be told who they are. Their rebellion is internal sovereignty, and no system can control a soul that is already self-sufficient. Part 9. They don't abandon compassion, they redefine it. Rebellion doesn't mean cruelty, it doesn't mean detachment, it doesn't mean apathy. The Sigma INFJ still cares deeply, but they rebel by caring differently, not by enabling, not by fixing, not by sacrificing themselves endlessly, but by choosing compassion that honors truth, by loving without clinging, by caring without controlling. Their rebellion is in proving that kindness doesn't mean compliance, that empathy doesn't mean erasure. Part 10. Their quiet rebellion is long-term strategy. While others burn out in loud bursts of defiance, the Sigma INFJ sustains theirs through patience. They don't fight for immediate recognition. They play the long game. They let time prove them right. They let silence sharpen their insights. They let distance reveal what words cannot. And in the end, their rebellion doesn't just change themselves. It changes the space they inhabit, because their refusal to conform forces others to question why they do. Conclusion: the loudest rebellions fade, the quiet ones endure. The Sigma INFJ doesn't need to scream to resist. Their rebellion is steady, grounded, unshakable. They refuse to live a life dictated by shallow norms. They refuse to sacrifice authenticity for belonging. They refuse to explain themselves just to earn space. And in that refusal, they win, not by overthrowing systems, but by quietly, consistently living outside of them. This is their rebellion, not loud, not obvious, but undeniable. A life lived so authentically that the norm no longer applies.